Miami Dolphins Rookie Minicamp took place over the weekend, and on today's show, we're going to go through the early winners and losers from the weekend. You had 8 rookies, 20 tryout players, 16 UDFAs, and more playing, practicing, going through all the drills in front of the coaching staff and front office for the first time. I'm Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. And make sure you are subscribed for more content like this on the daily. But my boss has also challenged me to be better. The most subscribed video we had last week had 25 subs. My boss has challenged me to get 30 on today. Hit that sub button for daily Dolphins content as well as the top coverage on YouTube. All right, the number one thing we'll talk about here is the winner. That is Kenneth Grant, the first-round defensive lineman the Dolphins drafted out of Michigan with that 13th selection. And I think it's not impossible to be a loser from the weekend. AK, did you see his former teammate Mason Graham throwing up on the sidelines of Brown's rookie minicamp? But the reason why he actually is a winner is because going through drills, there was photos, there was people taking videos of Grant, putting on social media. He displayed explosiveness and athleticism that is just absolutely absurd for his size. We're talking about a 6'3", 6'4" defensive lineman, 330 pounds, that is doing these side-by-side drills of chopping his legs and moving around the pillars. And it's just like, how is someone this big moving that easily with that much fluidity and that much quickness? It's like, it's unbelievable. It's the reason why I believe the Dolphins took him at 13 to pair him up with Zach Sealer, because I talked a lot about in the pre-draft process that I thought Chris Greer was going to fall in love with Grant due to his size, athleticism, culture, setting ability, and his high motor. And I think you saw everything you wanted to see just through the photos and what people were talking about in the videos of a player that can be a day one difference maker. And I believe Kenneth Grant will be that right away. Well, it's not hard to do that, by the way, on the Dolphins roster, considering the fact that they have nothing going into the draft. They took 3 of defensive linemen in the draft in the 1st, 5th, 7th round. Grant, obviously the headliner, the guy is just going to find his way on the field right away due to necessity. But I got to be honest, even if they had another solid veteran D lineman to work alongside Zach Sealer, I think Grant would still likely beat him out. This guy is a high motor, high culture dude that has great athleticism. He has just absolutely 8 double teams all season long last year for the Wolverines, which allowed Mason Graham to have the production that he had. And I'm not going to try to act like Grant's the sole reason why Graham was so good for the Wolverines, but when you watch the tape, it's kind of odd how many times Kenneth Grant was double-teamed in comparison to Mason Graham. Just throwing that out there. All right, who has been your favorite Dolphins rookie so far? Could be a UDFA, could be one of the 8 guys Miami drafted. It's today's pinned comments. If you get with the YouTube ad break, scroll down, let it play, and answer today's question. Maybe it's the UDFA wide receiver out of Missouri, Theo Wease Jr. We have had probably an abnormal amount of discussion about UDFA wide receivers for the Dolphins over the past week and a half. We've talked a lot about Andrew Armstrong. We've talked about Wease Jr. And we're going to continue that conversation because he was probably the most complimented player from Dolphins media over the weekend. You had ESPN's Dolphins beat reporter Marcel talking about how just in 30 minutes of watching minicamp on Friday that he really liked the ability of UDFA wide receiver Theo Wease to high point the ball in traffic and pluck out of the air. Now, he kind of made a joke with the laughing emoji of listen, it's rookie minicamp, it's only the first day, but that's what he saw. But then you also had Omar Kelly later in that Friday afternoon, the first day of rookie minicamp, saying, not going to lie, that tall receiver did make a couple of solid in-traffic catches today. And then he also said, don't ask me his name, I haven't learned it yet, which, by the way, is so fraudulent of a beat reporter not to know. Just look at the jersey number. Every beat reporter should know the jersey numbers, or at least have a pamphlet to look at and know who the player is before sending out the tweet. But it's obvious that Theo Wease Jr. impressed multiple people at minicamp. This is a player that Miami gave $230,000 to right after the draft concluded, a pretty hefty price point, so they clearly eyed Wease Jr. as someone they wanted to sign as a UDFA. Played 3 seasons at Oklahoma before transferring to Missouri in his final 2 seasons. And he's not going to beat you with speed. He'll beat you with route running. He'll beat you with his ability to high point the ball in traffic, as was pointed out, and his fearlessness over the middle of the field. A 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver that isn't going to burn you. Like, we know the Dolphins have another UDFA wide receiver, Andrew Armstrong, who we'll get to in just a second, who's 6'4", 205, and ran a 4.51. So on paper, he should be the more highly touted wide receiver here. But as we saw, Theo Wease Jr. got the first impressions on all of the staff as well as the media portion of the Dolphins group. But my point is this: when we look at the room, I think one UDFA will absolutely make the team. There's 4 of them: Andrew Armstrong, Wease Jr., Monterey Baldwin, and AJ Henning. And with there only being 4 wide receivers set on this roster, you saw the top 4: Malik, Tyreek, Jalen, and Nick Westbrook-Akini. I think you'll find a 5th wide receiver on the 53-man, which will be a UDFA. I have them going over Eric Ezukama, over Taj Washington. I think one UDFA wide receiver will make the team, and maybe it is Theo Wease Jr. Which brings us to the first loser that we'll talk about. It's the other UDFA wide receivers. Listen, there's not a lot coming out from rookie minicamp. I will admit that. But when you have one wide receiver being raved about, creating buzz, and that just shows you that he is probably outperforming everybody else. And listen, I think the wide receiver group that Miami brought in undrafted free agency was probably the best overall group out there. Did they bring in the best UDFA wide receiver? I'm not sure. I really like Nick Nash from San Jose State, who ultimately went to the Atlanta Falcons. But Armstrong was a top UDFA wide receiver, and I still have confidence in him having a chance to make the team. Like, as I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, this is a 6'4" wide receiver that ran a 4.5 140, led the SEC in receiving yards, and had a 63% contested catch rate last season in his only year playing Power 5 ball, specifically in the SEC. So I believe as the pads continue to come on this offseason and OTAs and the training camp preseason, I think Armstrong will still have a very solid chance to make this Dolphins roster. But it is clear that just after rookie minicamp, Theo Wease Jr., the Missouri UDFA wide receiver, has a leg up on the other 3 UDFA wide receivers trying to make this ball club. All right, we're going to go to another loser here. This is actually someone the Dolphins signed in free agency, the veteran running back Alexander Mattison, who spent time with the Raiders last year, prior with the Minnesota Vikings. You might ask, how is he a loser if he was not at the rookie minicamp this weekend? Well, I believe that Ollie Gordon, although you're not going to see any highlights from him over the weekend due to the no pads and like they're not tackling or anything like that. But as we continue to see how they are going to build this football team and make it more of a run-first kind of team, if you will, and they invest in the offensive line, I think the physicality Ollie Gordon will bring will just ultimately give him a spot that could take over Madison's on the roster. We're talking about a player here in Ollie Gordon that was the Doak Award winner in 2023, a ridiculous stat line. Then, because of the lack of passing ability from the Oklahoma State offense last year, and then putting damn near 8 or 9 people in the box every single play, a guy that did not have a productive year in 2024. He's 6'2", he's 225, built like Alexander Mattison, but even a little bit bigger. Was very good in short yard situations for the Pokes in his career. Like right now, you just have to put him as RB4. But we saw last year the Dolphins went into the offseason with Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson as their top 3 backs, and then their 4th-round pick, Jalen Wright, just creeped his way into more playing time. I think Wright's going to be your RB2 this year, but RB3, short yardage, RB is very much up for grabs, and I think Ollie Gordon's going to really make a push for that. If he plays well in the preseason, which we should see a lot of him in the preseason, because you're not going to probably see any Devon Achane. You're going to see Jalen Wright, you're going to see Madison, maybe a UDFA and Nate Newell and Ollie Gordon as the main running backs getting carries in the 3 preseason games. And if Gordon continues to impress with his physicality in between the tackle running, he can ultimately elevate himself to that RB3 / goal line, short yardage back, and you have one of the youngest RB groups in the league with Achane, Wright, and Gordon, with Madison just being that Jeff Wilson guy of last year where he is the veteran, can come in and be a change of pace guy, but also be trusted not to fumble. I really like Ollie Gordon. I think you could label him as someone that is a winner, but I think just overall, I'd rather label Alexander Mattison as a loser due to the fact that Gordon could compete for that RB3 role, but you already have 2 good young running backs ahead of him on the depth chart. We're going to get to our last one here in just 1 second. But make sure you get your Dolphins jerseys today. Any color, any player, any size. Chatsports.com/Dolphins jersey. Rookie numbers have become somewhat official. Once they are officially locked in, because they still could be changed, you can get yours. Kenneth Grant's wearing 90 right now. Jonah Savi-Inaya is wearing 72. Teron Armstead's old number. Get those today. One more time. The link is in the description and comments of today's video. Chatsports.com/Dolphins jersey. All right, last one. I know it's cheesy. Winners, Dolphins fans, because Dolphins football is inching closer and closer. Like, you really look at this offseason program going forward now, and we're, like, close. Yeah, it will be a couple rough months here, a couple weeks stretch, but you had a rookie minicamp this weekend, schedule release this week. Then you also are going to get to OTAs at the end of May, early June, and then you're just 1 month away from people reporting in July, preseason in August. Like, we're slowly going to be there. And as I mentioned, remember, schedule release is on Wednesday afternoon. It's supposed to come out 8 p.m. Eastern time, but leaks will come out beforehand. It's pretty much already reported that the Dolphins will play the Washington Commanders in Spain in their Madrid game. I believe it will be week 11. We'll see that confirmed over the next couple of days, which also brings me to this question, by the way. And I really want to know, because I don't care. I like to know, but I don't really get that excited over it. But let me know your thoughts. Are you excited about the Dolphins schedule release on Wednesday? Type Y for yes or type N for no. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel, folks, because when the Dolphins schedule has its leaks, is confirmed, we will be dropping a video going through all 17 games, all primetime games, the Madrid game when that's confirmed. We'll have it here all on the channel over the next 48 hours. So hit that sub button if you want the top Dolphins content on YouTube.